Hi everyone, welcome to the What's on Disney Plus podcast with me, Roger, and James. In this episode, we are going to be talking about all the big new Disney Plus news from the past week. So we're going to be talking about High School Musical, the musical series. We're going to be talking about the brand new little Pixar Sparkshorts smash and grab. We'll be giving our thoughts on the Frozen 2 trailer, and there's also a few little snippets as well that's come up this week. So let's jump into the big news really of the week. Was that High School Musical, the series was kind of we had an official press release. This one came through the Disney Channel line. So that's like the first press release we've seen come down that line. Normally it comes from Walt Disney Studios. So that was kind of quite interesting. They showed off lots of information about the cast. So this one was, I'll be honest, I'm not too sure. These all young kids, not seen them in anything before, but that doesn't mean, they have been in bits before. So apparently the production is now underway in Salt Lake City, and it's going to have 10 episodes, picking up nearly 15 years after the original movie aired at the real-life location where it all began, East High. It follows a group of students as they count down to the opening night of their school's first ever production of High School Musical. Showmances blossom, friendships are tested, while new ones are made, rivalries flare, lives are changed forever as these young people discover the transformation power that only a high school drama club can provide. It features brand new songs, an acoustic rehearsal room, reinterpretations of songs from the original movie, as they learn we're all in this together while trying to pull off the against all odds opening night. So here's a look at the cast again. And they've all been in different shows and stuff before. I'm not going to go for their names and butcher them all because that's what generally I tend to do with names. But what did you think of this?
I mean, not an incredible amount, to be honest. I will say, obviously, I have not seen any of the High School Musical stuff to this point. Not really my thing. But it is extremely popular. It is still popular to this day. And at the moment, there's kind of a hole in the market for this. When it came out, or shortly after it came out, Glee was showing up on TV, and that was very popular. But there really isn't anything quite like this currently coming out. So there's a gap in the market. It's an established franchise. And it's the kind of thing that actually makes sense in a series format because it lets them do more songs while also actually doing story bits, because things like this or what's the other one? I don't remember. It
was like Camp Rock. You had Zombies. You've had quite a few different ones over there.
Right, and they've been kind of pushing on those, and being able to do both the songs and the story kind of gives them an advantage over their movie counterparts.
The other thing is, with 10 episodes, it gives them a little bit longer to spread out the character, to allow some character growth. I think it's a bit difficult, like an hour and a half movie, to do that. So the 10 episodes will give them much longer, even if they're half an hour episodes, much longer than a movie. The fact of doing like dress rehearsals of the classic songs, that kind of gives maybe the chance of kind of doing a retro look back at them while still doing something new. I do not like the name High School Musical, the series. It's like what I know when I'm writing headlines, I'm hating it with Captain Marvel at this precise minute, where it's like Captain Marvel. It's like, this is the same with High School Musical. I don't like that. It seems that just didn't need to be had in the second one of two musicals in a title. Seems a bit overkill.
It's just clunky. I why they have both, because they're trying to specify. One of them's in the name. It's High School Musical. That is the franchise name, but you're also specifying it is a musical. Yeah, I don't know. It will probably just end up being known as High School Musical, the series.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's we'll give it a go when it comes out, but it's kind of one of those things again. I remember the hoopla when the first one came out, and I have seen the first two. I didn't bother with the third one, but those songs were everywhere at the time. They were massive. But shifting gears now, I'm going to go through a couple of quick news pieces that kind of come out. So looks like Loki has got it's got like a writer slash showrunner, executive producer. A Rick and Morty writer has joined on. It's going to be writing the first episode, and there's also going to be Michael Walden. He's worked on Rick and Morty, which I've never seen. I'll be honest, I've never seen that one there. So
I haven't either.
No, so that's pretty much at the minute. He's going to be directing it, writing it, etc. So that's kind of cool that they've done that, and I think a bit of humor with that could work well with Loki.
Yeah, I mean, I know the humor of Rick and Morty, so Loki maybe not quite the same type, but close enough where I can see how you would adapt it indirectly.
Yeah. Another quick snippet was that apparently the Alan Tudky, or I think that's how you pronounce it, who played the voice of K2SO from Rogue One, he did say he spoke to comicbook.com and said the words, "It's a prequel, so it's a prequel. I love those guys. I do. I love those guys. He's one of my favorite people on the planet. I know what they're doing. It's very exciting. We've talked about it." Very much along the lines of talking about the fact that he could be, maybe involved in it. I'll be extremely surprised if he isn't, because they're going to want that kind of connection with Rogue One. Star Wars loves having droids in stuff, so why not make the most of a droid that was quite funny? I'll be quite happy to see this character return because I thought he was quite cool in it.
Yeah, I loved K2SO. He's shown up in other media as well. He was in the Star Wars VR mission for Battlefront 1. He was in the VR experience at the Void in Disney Springs. So they obviously love him. The only problem I see with this, of course, is that in the actual movie or television series, he requires a lot of special effects.
Yeah.
So that might limit the amount that he shows up in the show, unless they choose to have him as like a disembodied voice. He shows up as the droid for part of it, but then like they download his consciousness into a ship or something, like they did with L3 in Solo, something like that, where they can have the character, but they don't have to spend all the time animating him. Maybe.
I don't know, it depends. It could be easy if they only just do him from the head up. They might be a bit easier to do it.
They might be able to. We'll see.
Now, speaking on to this one, was definitely caught my eye. This was the fact that there was this image was shown by one of the people behind the Disney streaming service guy, Raymond. He put up this image of the team in the UK, because he's got an office over here, and they were going through and just showing off this slide from the social initiative. And of course, it's not very easy not to work out. You got the big Disney Plus logo, followed by this big Xbox One logo slapped next to it. So to say that I think the Disney Plus is coming to the Xbox One seems very, very highly likely, with the fact that this slide is just evident. You can't, it's not like, oh, it's Nintendo Wii or PlayStation. Was like, no, there's a whopping great big Xbox One logo on there, which definitely says to me that I think that the app will probably be coming to the Xbox One.
Yeah, and even though it's not on the slide, it would surprise me greatly if it didn't show up on the PlayStation as well. The only real questionable one would be the Switch, because for whatever reason, streaming on the Switch is not really a thing. But I'm sure it'll also show up on Roku's, Amazon Fire Sticks, Chromecast, all that stuff, because they're going to want this on every single device that they can possibly get it on.
Yeah. It was just the fact, like I said, that particular slide showed the Xbox One logo, so we could kind of go, yeah, that looks very much along the lines of doing it. Personally, for me, this is a big thing for Disney Life over here. They didn't roll out the app onto consoles. They rarely put it out onto smart TVs. I have to have a Fire Stick shoved in the back of the TV to watch it. So they haven't done it for Disney Life. So it's been one of my biggest complaints with the fact that you couldn't watch it on there. Because for years, I used to use my PlayStation 4 as my main media device till I got my smart TV. Now I watch everything through that. So there's a lot of people that use their consoles as the things. ESPN Plus is on the Xbox One and PlayStation 4. Hulu is on, even Hulu's on the Switch. So I think they are very much aware that they need to get these out on as many devices as possible. But just nice to see you've got the two logos together. That was, to me, that was about as confirmation as you can get really on from an official streaming image.
Yeah, there's nothing else to say about it. It's almost certainly happening.
Yeah, right. So now let's shift gears again, and let's talk about Frozen 2. We got the official trailer broke this week, and let's say it was a little bit of a success for Disney. I think it was the highest watched trailer of all time. We got to see a female version of Iceman in action and training, and yeah, I just thought it was quite dark. It was quite not what I was expecting. Seeing Elsa trying to get off wherever she was with the water and playing around trying to get off there, she just reminded me of Iceman trying to get with her, testing her powers at that point. We got to see was it a recreation of Jurassic World where Sven and is running in with all the Velociraptor reindeers. That was kind of good. I've seen a meme of that, and since then I can't take that scene. That's just what I see now. And yeah, we've got this mystery girl that everyone is now doing. Is it a daughter? Is it their parents? Is it, who has the power of fall? We don't know. But yeah, it was definitely caught me by guys, just how dark it was.
Yeah, they did a good job with this trailer. They didn't really tell us much. They set the tone. It's definitely got that dark tone to it. Although I expect it won't go too dark. Obviously, they're still pitching it to a younger audience. Didn't stop them with Sleeping Beauty though. So, but yeah, it did what it needed to do, which was kind of pique your interest, and it gives you a lot of hints without going into very many specifics. It doesn't reveal much about the plot. We can kind of extrapolate some things, but we're not 100% sure on. And in fact, I think this is going to work really well as a trailer, not just because of how much it gets viewed, but because of how ambiguous it is. We're already starting to see so many YouTube videos of like, let's put the pieces together. What does this mean in this part of the trailer? Because, people love those trailer dissection videos, and whoever put this trailer together was just like, let's give them tons of fodder and no answers, and let them do, because people making videos about what the trailer is about is just more publicity for the movie. And it's, I don't know if that was the intention
here, dissecting the trailer.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's anything that gets Frozen 2 into people's mouths is publicity for the movie. And I don't know if that was intentional, but I could kind of picture that it is. And if it was intentional, it's extremely well done.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me a bit of like the Cars 3, where they kind of did that, where they got really dark with him crashing and sort of setting up. And that movie didn't really have that tone to it, but it looked like it did. Frozen 2's trailer just looked great. It showed off a lot of Frozen. It didn't really push the songs too much, just kind of tweaked a little bit at it. But it was that kind of thing of everyone just staring off into the distance, knowing there's danger. And obviously at the end, Anna grabs the sword and fights with someone. So we know something's happening. They didn't really show off a lot. Anna and Elsa are in slightly different enough costumes enough to kind of get away with a lot more merchandise sales. As instantly, that was just that thing of like, oh, they changed the costume. That's enough to do that.
Yeah, we were just talking about this for Toy Story in the other podcast. And yeah, I mean, they want to sell toys and they want you to buy the new toys with the new outfits and the new Iceman powers and all that stuff. So yeah, naturally. I will say I did like Elsa's outfit at the beginning. It's a good kind of like mature look, but still stylized in kind of her own image.
Yeah, I just thought it was a really good trailer. Definitely excited about it. I was not expecting it this week. I'll be honest. It came
out of nowhere.
I thought it was going to be months away because the movie's not out till November, and it's like, well, why are you putting this out now? I mean, I know they're going to build up anticipation, but it's only February. We've still got another 7 months yet. We've not. It just feels quite early to be getting this stuff out there, but I suppose that's the aim. And if they can get the excitement around Frozen, but yeah, so it's looking good. Suspect it won't. If it's coming out in November, it probably won't be hitting Disney Plus till probably May, June next year, depending on once we find out how the system works. But yeah, so it's going to be a while before we see it on Disney Plus.
It'll be a while before we see Frozen 2, but it might not be that long before we see Frozen, as well as the shorts that are accompanying it. You know, the fever, the one where Elsa gets sick, and then Olaf's Christmas. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
those I would expect to see. They might even be at launch.
Yeah, I would be very surprised if they're not available at launch, because that would be a big selling point. But looks good, so that's great. Keeping on, like we just mentioned there, the merchandise, because Star Wars and Disney announced kind of a big thing for Disney Plus really was that they've announced an event called Triple Force Friday, which is taking place on October the 4th. And it's a day when they're going to be announcing loads of new merchandise for Star Wars. They're going to be releasing loads of merchandise. They're going to be doing the same thing for Frozen on the same day. But one of the key things is called Triple Force Friday because it's a 3-point event. They've got Star Wars Episode 9 coming out over the winter. You've got the brand new video game Jedi Fallen Order coming out. And they've also specifically said Star Wars The Mandalorian. What they did say in this one, and this was where it's kind of, we don't quite yet know really where this one's coming from, is the idea that they say in there, the first ever Star Wars live action series, The Mandalorian, set to debut exclusively on the upcoming Disney streaming service, Disney Plus. Now, I read this in one of two ways. I can't help but feel that the Star Wars The Mandalorian is not going to be on before this date, because they don't want the series out before the merchandise. This seems to me like whether or not it's out the same day, that could be quite a cool way of tying in with it. Whether or not it's straight afterwards, whether or not you're going to get all the merchandise for the show coming up there. But I do think that, you know, with Star Wars Episode 9 coming out in December, Jedi Fallen Order coming out in the holidays, you could see something kind of tying in. It'd be kind of a nice boost to kind of get The Mandalorian off to a good start.
Yeah, and I agree that this means more than likely we're not going to get The Mandalorian before that date, which also probably means we're not getting Disney Plus before that date. So Disney definitely wants the merchandise on the shelf when the show starts, before the show starts, really, because even if you're not interested in it before the show starts, when you see those episodes and you're like, oh, I really want this starship or this character as an action figure, you can just go to your local Target or Walmart or Toys R Us or whatever, and there it is waiting for you. And that's what they want, because they want you to make that impulse purchase, and they don't want you to go, oh, I've watched the series, go to Target, oh, there's no merchandise, and then when it does show up 3 weeks later, you're like, yeah, it's not that great. I don't need
so yeah, I mean, my bet is probably, it wouldn't surprise me. Like I said, I don't think we're going to get The Mandalorian before October the 4th. Whether or not we get Disney Plus before that, I don't know, because I think in one way they're going to want to launch with something big like The Mandalorian, but then it wouldn't surprise me as well if they just launched it without something, as just the library, just to kind of get going, and then have that as like the second wave of stuff. But yeah, it's looking, I would be very doubtful if it's launched before October the 4th. But I think generally October was not a bad time for them to launch Disney Plus anyway, because it's a little bit before the Christmas period. But they say late 2019. We'll probably hopefully find out more on April the 11th. But yeah, late to me, as well as like technically June and July do fall into this one, and August. Late to me normally says like October, November, December. So who knows? But like I said, I can't see the show being out in August and then them putting out the toys in October. It just makes more sense to we will not see this show before October the 4th.
Yeah, that seems likely, and I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Obviously, there are announcements before we get there, and it is possible that they could launch before the 4th, and they would also have, you know, like you said, a first wave of action figures or something like that.
Yeah. Right. So our last topic of the day is going to be a kind of a feature topic, which is our review of Smash and Grab, which was the Pixar Sparkshort that came out on Monday. So this one is going to be coming to Disney Plus in the future. At the end of the movie, there's a little, I would say an advert, but a little bumper for Disney Plus saying this one and more will be coming to Disney Plus late 2019. They definitely seem to have put these. We did Pearl last week. We got the Smash and Grab. There'll be another one on Monday. And it's kind of quite cool just to have some content that technically Disney Plus content. But I write this one. I thought this short was far superior to last week's Pearl.
Right. And if you'll remember, I wasn't too keen on Pearl to begin with. I did like this one a lot more. I kind of got Wall-E vibes from it, mostly because there's no talking to it. I did think it kind of got a little muddled and confused at the end when they start getting I guess we're going to spoilers or whatever, but it's only 8 minutes long. They start getting harassed by these police auto cannon droid things, and I was just kind of like, this doesn't feel like the movie I was watching before this point. But yeah, other than that, it was a better effort. It still felt a little bit weird to be a Pixar thing, but overall, yeah, I liked it better than Pearl.
Yeah, it felt like a Pixar movie. I think a lot more in terms of using visual keys, not using words. There was no words mentioned in it. It was much safer. If that was before a movie, I would have been like, okay, cool. It's a bit of a retelling of a little bit like Wall-E, but it kind of was close enough that if that was before a movie, I wouldn't have been like, oh my, that's a drop in their quality. It was like, no, this was, it looked very glossy. It looked better. The way that the robots interacted, the story going on, I just thought it was a very good Pixar short. And yeah, it definitely raised the level for me of what from these Spark shorts.
Yeah, and we'll have to wait and see what this third week one is going to be. I did have some issues with it, mostly from the story perspective, in that they really leave a lot out of it. Like this train that they're on. What is the train doing? What is it delivering? Is it passengers? Is it freight? Is it cargo? Is it very...
Well, they were loading the energy balls onto the train.
Yeah, I mean, that was part of it, certainly. And given the way that we saw the energy balls, they're like, well, now that you've destroyed the train and derailed it, does that mean a whole bunch of other robots are not going to have their energy balls, which might be the same as killing them? I don't know. I mean, maybe they all are just plugged in at home like they are in the locomotive. But there were large bits of it where it's kind of like, logically, you guys just destroyed a ton of stuff because you were jealous of some robots that were walking around without tethers.
Yeah.
I'm kind of losing my sympathy for you guys on this.
Yeah, but they got to
overall it was still good.
You know, they're sharing their life, connected together, and got to walk off with their hands. You know, and it was nice. It was a nice short. It was it didn't push any boundaries. I do think they made the right choice in actually releasing this one second, because I think had this one gone first, it would have been a bit. I think Pearl got attentions for being a bit different and a bit more rough around the edges, but a little bit more edgy. This one wasn't edgy. This was much more a safe bet.
I would actually say that for Pearl, some of the adult jokes, some of the adult references in it really was off-putting for me, because like this isn't what I associate with Pixar. Yes, they've always had very mature themes in most of their movies. A couple of them maybe not so much, but they've always had mature bits in their movies, but they've never really gone to the, well, we're going to make straight up sexist jokes. You know, there was a point to it, obviously, but still, you're kind of like, that's not what I signed up for when I was watching your short. So yeah, this doesn't have that, and I kind of appreciate that. We'll wait and see what number 3 has to offer, but I do feel like the bar has been raised, and it does have to be at least on this level. Hopefully.
But also, yeah, I mean, this is going to be one of those interesting things with this like Sparkshort series. I think this is a nice way of delivering previews of Disney Plus in advance. You know, a while out of showing, you know, not all Disney in style, but I think putting out little shorts like this, spreading them out, I do think this like weekly trend, if they're going to do that with the rest of the series, I think that's a much better way than dumping them all at once. You get that little buzz. I mean, as of last night, they Smash and Grab was pretty much nearly up to 1 million views. So that was pretty good. Obviously, you know, whether or not people are looking at this going, oh, it's a short, I'm not interested. But yeah, no, I'm liking this. And they had the little extra videos as well, where they talked about making it. I thought that was good. I think you see this a lot on Disney Life, is everything that's kind of going on YouTube. All these little shorts like Marvel Rising and the little like Adventures and Galaxy thing with Star Wars, they are all being put onto Disney Life and YouTube. And I think you're going to see this a lot more when I think they realize that there's actually a market for kids watching shorts, and they're going to have all this like YouTube content is all going to be part of the Disney Plus experience. It's not all going to be movie. When you go on the Disney Life app, you actually get movies, shorts, TV shows. So there is actually a whole section just of shorts. I think this is definitely going to be a key aspect of Disney Plus, is the short element.
I mean, not just Disney Plus, but just streaming in general. I mean, we are kind of stuck on the idea of half-hour and hour shows, or 20-minute and 40-minute shows if you cut out the ads. And when you're streaming, you don't really have to stick to that, you know? So you can do 8-minute content and it can stand on its own. You could do 16-minute content. You can do whatever fits the story. And I don't think that's right around the corner. I don't think we're going to start getting shows that are like consistently 15 minutes or 23 minutes or anything like that. But as we move more towards streaming content versus traditional, half-hour block television shows, creators will start expanding on this idea, and they'll be like, you know what, those 40-minute shows that we get, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or shows like that, sometimes they don't feel right because you're trying to fit 20 minutes of content into a 40-minute show, and there's a lot of padding, and your viewers get that. So instead of a 40-minute show with 20 minutes of content, let's just make a 20-minute show. And then we can go back next week or for the next episode. If it makes more sense, then that's a 45-minute episode because we've got 45 minutes of content on that. I don't think that's right around the corner, but with Disney Plus and Hulu and Netflix and all that stuff, with these shorts, it's something that we could see happen. And I would actually like that, because that will increase creativity of the creators. If they can go, we can make the story as short or as long as we need to, and it doesn't get bloated or it doesn't feel rushed because we have the appropriate amount of time.
Also, I mean, you think like Disney kind of started the whole business around shorts. So shorts are very part of Disney. They've been a big part of it, having the shorts before the movies. The things with Pixar, when they do that, it's always been part of it. I think YouTube's allowed them to kind of, there's that kind of question of like things like Marvel Rising and Star Wars Galaxy of Adventures, where they've done these shorts and like Forces of Destinies, and they're launching like merchandise, and they're trying to launch everything off of it, and we're looking at it going, they're only shorts. Are you going to be able to do this without having a half-hour show? It's also the other thing as well. They can do an hour of shorts, and it's only literally would have been two or three episodes of them. So it's easier to produce, more to produce. They can churn them out quicker and faster and spread them out. But yeah, these Pixar ones are on like a different level to maybe like Marvel Rising. But just looking at like what's on like Disney Life and these shows that they are pushing, like Forces of Destiny, Marvel Rising, and the Galaxy, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot more of this, because also younger kids react more because they've got shorter attention spans. This will, and they'll just watch them on a playlist and they'll just churn through them, and that'll work. That'll work just the same way. And that's the difference there. You can, where you used to watch, you look at back at a lot of old TV shows, they would be technically like shorts, but they put 2 or 3 of them in a half-hour block to turn it into an episode. And that's essentially what they were doing back in the 80s. Was often it was 2 or 3 stories per episode.
And that's like the current Mickey Mouse shorts that they do. Those are, 5-10 minute long, absolutely off the walls bonkers. But they're like the old school stuff. You would watch Merry Melodies or something like that, and you'd get 3 or 4 shorts, all just kind of back to back. There's definitely a precedent for it. And I think that Disney Plus is exactly where you want to do that. And I'm sorry, you were talking about kids watching the playlist. I had the picture of the character from Memento just watching shorts on a list, and by the time he'd get to the last short, he would forgot what the first one was, so it's just a giant playlist on repeat. And parents, your kids might not be the guy from Memento, but we all know that, yeah, that playlist is on repeat for a few hours, as long as they're good, as long as they can captivate the attention of a kid. Yeah, go for it. Absolutely.
Right. So on that note, guys, let us know in the comments below what you thought of Smash and Grab. Let us know your thoughts on all of that, or on any of the stories from this episode. Remember to go check us out over at whatsondisneyplus.com. Favorite it. Go on, follow us on Twitter and Facebook to keep up with the latest news. And obviously, you can subscribe on YouTube and audio platforms. All your support really does make a big difference, especially as we're gearing up for the launch of Disney Plus. James, where can they find you?
Find me heroiclegacy.com.
And on that note, guys, thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back soon. Later.